Welcome to ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. My name is Alice Lee Hagan. Welcome to our bi-weekly conversation with fascinating professionals, educators who contribute to our state's economic and cultural well-being. Well, today my guest is a very special one because she has experienced a lot of things that fascinates me. She has lived in many countries. She is into different types of culture in the sense that she understands the art and the language and all that. And of course, the last thing is she is a trained engineer. My guest today is the president of Hawaii Smart Energy, Ghissou Rosala. Ghissou, thank you so much for coming to my show this afternoon.
Thank you, Alice. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, I know that when I first met you back in July at an East-West Center event, we had a lot of international journalists, and they came here to Hawaii for, I guess, part of their training because they were off to many other different countries to continue their training.
Correct, yeah.
Now, I met you, I didn't quite know where you were from, and then when you told me, I said, oh, of course, you remind me of a good friend of mine. So could you tell me a little bit about yourself, and hopefully that would start our conversation.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Ghissou Rosala, as you mentioned. Yeah, I was born in Iran and left Iran in 1980, moved to Germany and was in Germany until 2008, and then I moved with my family here to Honolulu. So that is the background. So the relation to the cultures that I have is Persian and German, and not only German, it's German-speaking countries actually. Yeah.
That's really amazing. And of course, I realized I forgot to share with the audience that you're the president of Hawaii Smart Energy, but you're also the Persian culture consultant at the Honolulu Museum of Art.
That is correct, and that is related to previous work that I was working at Roshan Cultural Heritage Institute, and that is where my connection to the museum started. Yeah, but then now I am the Persian culture consultant at the museum, which I'm very grateful for that, to be able to do this, because I love to share the cultures that we know and we bring to the community that we live in, yeah, in order to connect people together. I think that is the best part of culture that we can do, to bring it out and connect with the community that we live in. It doesn't matter where we are, we can do that.
Certainly, the connection through art, I've experienced that, because when we met at East-West Center, actually it wasn't at East-West Center, it was at the Doris Duke Shangri-La.
That was in Shangri-La. Yeah.
You know, just that comment, there's so many questions I need to ask you. So let's put aside Doris Duke Shangri-La for a while. But that Roshan Institute of
Roshan Cultural Heritage Institute. Yeah.
Roshan Cultural Heritage Institute. Tell us what that is about.
That is about promoting Persian culture. Yeah, and it also works closely with universities to establish Persian language departments. Yeah, and yeah, it's a lot of cultural background work and actual presentation of the Persian culture and language.
So
as well.
Is this a local institution, and who founded this? Can you tell us about that?
It was founded here in Honolulu, yeah, but it works internationally, yeah. So, and the founder is Dr. Aloha Mirjalali, and I was grateful to be able to work and connect with my Persian culture and language, working with the Roshan Cultural Heritage Institute. That, yeah, I really had a good time there, yeah.
So I presume the Roshan Cultural Heritage Institute sponsors some of these journalists from Iran to attend.
That is true, yeah. They have to apply for it. Everything goes regular way, so you have to make your applications and, yeah.
So how old is this institute then? How long has it been around?
The Roshan Institute, I think when Correct, it was founded in 2007.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so very recent then. But let's go back to the Shangri-La, because I've also met another Iranian lady who is one of the docents there. And every time I go back to Shangri-La, I always learn something new.
Yeah.
Now, how does that perhaps tie in with you being a Persian cultural consultant with Honolulu Museum of Art? Do you actually do anything with Shangri-La then?
No, mainly I am involved in organizing the Nowruz celebration. That is the Persian New Year, but it is not only in Iran. There are a lot of countries in Middle East that they celebrate Nowruz, yeah, and it's just the biggest celebration that everybody who celebrate Nowruz, that is the most important event for whomever celebrates it. Nowruz is the New Year, and literally translated is the new day. Yeah. So, and it always starts with the spring, so where nature is waking up. Yeah. So that is, yeah, it's a lot of, yeah, it's a very reasonable and very happy celebration. Okay. Yeah, and it connects a lot of people beyond borders. Yeah.
Okay. No, so before we started the show, you were saying that Nowruz is in March 28th. Is it always on the same day?
So it always, it depends on, well, it is the spring equinox, yeah. So, and it depends, it's either the 19th or 20th of March. If I'm correct, it is when the sun leaves the sign of Pisces and goes into Aries.
Really?
Yeah, and that's always a certain time, and that is what makes Nowruz very special. Okay. Because it's always on a certain time. Okay. So it can be 10 o'clock in the morning or 10:31:59 seconds in the evening. Yeah. But the special thing about the Nowruz is that everybody gathers around the table setting exactly at this time, and it doesn't matter where you are. It's always happening. That means when I am sitting at my Nowruz table, I know everybody who celebrates Nowruz is at the same time at their table.
So you synchronize the time regardless of the time,
regardless,
time difference.
Yeah, and that makes it very special, I think, yeah.
So when you gather around the table, what do you do? It's too bad we don't have pictures, but I guess I have to rely on your description.
Well, you know, I was thinking of bringing some pictures, but I thought since we are having these celebrations here, I would like to invite everybody to come to museum and see the table, yeah. Okay. So the table is called Haft Sin. Haft is the number 7, and Sin is the letter S in Persian.
7S.
7S, and there are traditional items which start with S. Each symbolize a certain thing, yeah, and there are at least 7 you should have on the table, and all of them, they are signs of longevity and happiness and prosperity. So we always start New Year's. It doesn't matter what culture, with best wishes for everybody, and that is exactly the same. Yeah.
So can you tell us some of these symbols of prosperity and good luck? Because I'm just comparing it with culture, Chinese culture. So there's at least 7 items. So what would that be? Let's start with S.
Yes, that is. For example, the flower hyacinth. Yeah, it blossoms in the spring. Right, right. So and it is presents life. Okay. Yeah, and other signs are other S's. They are for prosperity. We put coins. The coins is sekke in Persian, so it starts with S, and so on and so on. So I could, I could name a lot, but as I mentioned, I would like everybody who is interested to come when we have the table setting at the museum and enjoy it.
So how would we find out more information about the Nowruz celebration?
It would be mainly on the website of Honolulu Museum of Art. Yeah, they announce it ahead of time.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because it's not until kind of late March, so I presume that the event is not out yet, right?
Yeah. And it is not every year that we do this
Oh,
table
okay.
setting because it depends on other programs as well and how we can manage timely everything together. Yeah.
So, do you remember when it was the first time that the Honolulu Museum of Art, shared this cultural experience with?
I think it was 2009, which I was working with the museum as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, you also commented that this was also recognized by the United Nations. Is that correct?
Yes, the United Nations have chosen a day to celebrate Nowruz. That's an International Day of Nowruz, and that was in 2010 because so many countries celebrate that, and that was based on their efforts to make the announcement as an official cultural heritage, actually, and to name some countries that also celebrate Nowruz, Afghanistan or Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, part of Turkey, and the Kurdish community, they celebrate Nowruz as well. Yeah, even I think in Macedonia as well. So there are a number of countries they celebrate Nowruz. Yeah.
That must be fascinating.
Yeah.
My apologies for my ignorance, but I thought that,
No problem.
Persian
Sure.
culture,
No.
it's Iran, but
Yeah.
you said Afghanistan, Tajikistan,
Yeah.
many other,
Yeah.
but then I guess in the past they were all...
Looking back at the history, of course, the Persian Empire was big, so it was a large empire, so that is, the remaining, I guess, And since it is a very big celebration, I think that was worth to keep that for other countries as well, to recognize that,
So if you have to guess, how many people would be celebrating Nowruz?
Oh, yeah. I think Iran has about 70 million, the population. I would think, but other countries, about maybe 200 to 300 million people that celebrate that. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
But the languages are different, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Tajikistan, I think they have two official languages. One is Persian. Yeah.
So here in Hawaii, very quickly, how big is the Persian population?
Since I moved here, I heard a lot of different numbers. Yeah, it is definitely a small community. Yeah, but I heard numbers for 200 or 70. So it probably changes all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but what I can say from my own experience, the Persian community is very interested in traditions and coming to the museum and the events. Yeah, and they love to volunteer, and we love to get the help as well. So it is really, I'm grateful for every help and volunteer that we get. And students at UH, Iranian students, they helped us out, families helped us out, So it is really connecting us together, and this is nice,
Wow, this is amazing. And I have to thank my producer for putting this picture on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
So, Ghissou, can you tell us a little bit about the image?
Let me see. This is probably the first image from the 2009 in museum. That was the table setup that we did. Yes.
Okay, so tell us that green sprouting plants.
That is usually lentil. This is lentil. You can also do the same with wheat. Wheat and lentil. And this starts with S as well. This is sapse, the sprout is.
Okay, and then there's pomegranate on my right.
Pomegranate, this is, I would say it's special because it's out of season. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
And it is red, and it brings a lot of color to the table.
Okay. Tell us about the books that are in the center, kind of standing up, those three. Do they have any significance?
Well, I think the most significant thing about Nowruz is that it's a non-religious celebration. Yeah. So, and you can put whatever you like. It can be the Quranic, it can be the Bible. What usually every Iranian does is poetries, that we have. The very historical, traditional poetries from Hafiz, Ferdowsi, Sa'di, that people have heard about them. I know that. So you can also put these poetry books on the table, which I think we did that here, in order to include everybody, because that's a celebration. You can always be a part of it.
That is amazing. Now, Ghissou, we are coming on our first break, but I'd like to ask you a few more questions after we come back, especially, poetry, do people recite it at the table, or how does that work? So maybe we'll come back a bit more about
Absolutely.
the
Okay.
Nowruz.
Yeah.
Well, my guest today is Ghissou Rosala. She is the president of Hawaii Smart Energy, also the Persian cultural consultant at the Honolulu Museum of Art. You're watching ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. We'll be right back after the break.
Hi, my name's Hillary Weinberg. I'm the host of The Whole Gamut on ThinkTech Hawaii. See us live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. or on our YouTube channel to hear us talk about world affairs from Hawaii and beyond. See you then.
Aloha, my name is Josh Green. I'm a senator from the Big Island. I work in the ER there. But on Tuesday afternoons, I get to come and spend 45 minutes to an hour with Jay Fidel and the ThinkTech staff. They're terrific professionals. They help us to bring some of the leading cutting-edge topics here across our state to you. So you can join us at our show on healthcare in Hawaii to talk with leaders from across all the spectrum of health in our state, or you can join us for any other show where we talk about economic development or tourism or some really eclectic programs too. So really, we'd love to see you here on our show. Thanks for joining us and thanks for supporting us.
Good. Yeah, okay.
Welcome back to ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. If you're just joining us today, my guest is Ghissou Rosala. She is the president of Hawaii Smart Energy, but also a Persian Art consultant at the Honolulu Museum of Art. Before the break, we were talking about the celebration of Nowruz, and it's probably a celebration of the Persian New Year, sometime in the middle of spring, or some
19th, 20th of March each year.
19th, 20th of March. Okay, so we, before the break, showed the picture of the first celebration that the Honolulu Museum of Art put out in terms of recognizing the celebration of Nowruz. And you mentioned poetry. I'm intrigued. So how does that work?
So what you can do, not everybody does that, it is that you recite from the book in order to look into how next year is gonna be. So everybody can grab the book and open up, or one member of the family, and everybody can relate to it somehow. So that is a part of the tradition. It's not that everybody does that, but it can be a part of it, yeah.
So this would be my last question. Oh, sorry, my last question. But poetry is, because, we study poetry here and it's hard to relate. Is it like that in Persian culture?
No, poetry, you grow up in Iran with poetry. It is, it's always present. It doesn't matter where you go. If you have family gatherings, someone might just recite something or grab a book and read to everybody. So it is very present, and we grow up with that, and it is, there are lessons for life. It's very wise. When you listen to the poetry, it is very, it's encouraging. It is, you can relate to it, you can connect to it, and it's also very, it goes very deep, so, and it can really bring you to the point to make decisions. It is very, it impacts you, It is something that can really bring you to, it's very strong for every Iranian who can and we all can relate to poetry. Yeah.
Even for young kids.
Even for we grow up with that. Yeah, and it is from generation to generation.
Oh
it never stops. Yeah, it's a part of our life. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just wish I had known this earlier on. I would have asked you to bring a small poem to read, because I know at school kids here struggle with poetry. Why do we have to study that? Whereas in your culture, kids grow up with poetry in the family.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can tell. So at a school, nobody is really very happy about learning the poetry, but. As a child, you are comfortable with that. During the school time, you might not like it, but after that, you really can relate and connect to it. Yeah, it comes back to you.
Well, I guess it attests to the cultural tradition of Persia. We certainly here don't have as long a tradition and history. I mean, looking at my culture, Chinese, we've got a lot of poetry too, but I kind of, I don't connect to it, but it's just amazing that somehow in Persian culture it continues, well, at least in Iran. A lot of questions about Iran and Persian culture, but I know I need to move on to ask you something else. Now, you lived in Germany for a long time.
28 years, yeah.
And before we started the program, I learned that you started something German related, also in an attempt to kind of foster one's appreciation of German culture. What is that, and what have you been doing for the German culture?
Yeah, I think when you spend a long time in, it doesn't matter if you grew up there or you learned a language, or you relate to the culture, you relate to the language, and you have a certain connection. And since I spent 28 years of my life in Germany, and I founded a German school here. Yeah, so and I am teaching German in after-school program.
Wow, that's amazing. So let me ask you, you speak Farsi, you speak German, you speak English,
That's it. No,
that's not it. 3 very difficult languages. So when you think, do you think in German, do you think in Farsi, or do you think in English?
Can I make just one point?
Of course.
Because the language, I know everybody relate to it as Farsi, but the language is Persian.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
okay.
No problem, because I know I hear that a lot, and I try to explain that because Farsi is, for us Iranian, Farsi is a part of the Persian language. Persian language is a big home, with a lot of other languages in it, and so from the linguistic point, the language is called Persian. I know that even when I get sometimes forms to fill out what language you speak, it says Farsi, but I know what it means, what they are relating to, but the language is actually Persian. So,
okay, thank you for enlightening me. So when you think, do you think in Persian, German, or English?
It depends on to which language it's related.
Really?
Yeah. You learn to differentiate that. So at a certain point, you learn to, or maybe you connect to the language as it comes to you. And if I still have well, you can dream in different languages. You can think in different languages, and
do you mix them all up?
No,
you don't.
No,
okay.
No. Well, I have to say, when I moved here first, I mixed German and English, yes, but Persian no, because it's very different.
Right.
Yeah, but then once you are more settled, so you can actually then make the separation much easier.
I'm sorry, I digress, but I was asking you about the German school. So when did you decide to start a German school, and how many students do you have?
Well, it's it's a small. Well, the German community is here bigger than the Persian community. It's about 5,000. and I always meet people that everybody can speak some sort of German or know some words, and this is really, yeah, it's funny that so many people can relate to that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I started with with a school that was already here to teach after-school program, and then since they didn't want to continue, so I took over. So because I thought I wouldn't just want to let it go so that people don't have anywhere to go if they are interested to learn the language. So I would like to keep the students, yeah, and continue with them, yeah. And it's a small number. Right now I have 5. I'm trying to reach out to other schools to establish that as an after-school program as well, yeah. So, yeah, and we hope, and I work closely also with the German department at UH, yeah. So they're supporting me, so that is, yeah, it's, yeah.
Do you feel that perhaps there are so many languages here, and the fact that Hawaii is so close to Asia, do you feel that's a reason why perhaps there are not as many students who are interested in learning German?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these are Iranian community, German community. It's a kind of minority here, yeah. But I mean, if I would, what I like is to be able to offer that, so whoever wants to take advantage of it, they are all welcome. Yeah.
Now, you said that you've lived, or you had lived in Germany for 28 years.
Yeah.
Could you share with us how you ended up living in Germany for such a long time?
Yeah, I moved in order to finish my school and college. I moved to Germany in 1980. And yeah, then you know how it is, then you get married, you have children, then you work, you get married, you have your children, and that is, and life goes on, and Germany is a beautiful country, yeah. Why not living and spending time there, yeah. And it was, I have to say, maybe because we are talking about culture, I was struggling when I moved from Iran to Germany. It's a big difference between the cultures, yeah. And I think I learned a lot in Germany in order to be able to speak up, be able to not to be afraid and free yourself. I think that is something that I definitely can give credit to the time that I was living in Germany. Yeah.
So so that's a big cultural adjustment for you then,
Absolutely.
when you first moved to Germany. Is there a big Iranian or Persian community in Germany?
That is, yeah. And this is where I actually, I was always involved with Persian communities to celebrate Nowruz as well, and introduce that to our German friends and students and college colleagues, so that everybody can take part in this really beautiful setting and meaningful tradition that we have.
Now, one last question before our second break. Do you notice any similarities between the German culture and Persian culture?
That is, that a very good question. Thank you for asking that. And I realized when I settled down, when I felt myself in both cultures really home, there are so many similarities you cannot believe. And it's always my experience is that we are human. And because traditions, cultures, they are all based on who we are, and at the end, wherever we are, we want to be happy, we want to have our family, we want to be safe, So what can be so different? I mean, definitely there are differences, but I like to look at the similarities.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Let's go on a short break, and then when we come back, I'd like to ask you about your work as an engineer. My guest today is Ghissou Rosala. She is the president of Hawaii Smart Energy, and you're watching ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. We'll be right back after the break.
Aloha, my name is Justina Spiritu, and I'm the co-host of Hawaii Farmers Series. This is my co-host, Matthew Johnson, and you can catch us every Thursday at 4 p.m. at thinktechhawaii.com. What do we talk about, Matt?
So on Hawaii Farmers Series, we're going to be bringing on the farmers and also supporter of farmers, including restaurants, caterers, as well as government supporters and nonprofits to hear their background stories and understanding our local ag community just a little bit better.
Yeah, essentially there's a lot more that goes into farming and the local food community beyond just producing the food. And we want to feature and get the background story on all these folks and see how we all work together as a community. So join us every Thursday. Aloha.
Welcome back to ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. If you are just joining us, my guest today is Ghissou Rosala. She is the president of Hawaii Smart Energy and a Persian culture consultant at the Honolulu Museum of Art. Before the break, we were talking about her involvement in the Persian culture, but also her experience living in Germany and her desire, well, she started a German school here in 2009. So Ghissou, you've done a lot of things, but really these are just your passion. Your job is, you are not an artist, you are not really, okay, you are a cultural consultant, but that's not what you're trained for. You went to Germany to study to become an engineer.
That is correct, yeah. I am a civil engineer from Germany, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I got my bachelor's degree, and I worked as a civil engineer. And then, of course, with family and children, and you, at a certain point, you realize you have to make decisions, yeah, what direction is going. And so I decided to be a mom at home first, yeah. And yeah, so that was a decision that I made, which turned out to be the right one at that time, because then my parents came as refugees to Germany, and unfortunately my father got sick, and I had to take care of both of them, yeah. So that was all in all a good time to have an absence from the work, yeah. But now, so I started to get back to the work when I moved here then, so that, yeah, when kids, you know, they don't need you anymore at a certain point, yeah. So, and so that is, I thought it's a good time to get back to my profession, because that was something, there's always a reason why you follow certain paths, yeah.
Absolutely.
And it is, it's my profession, and it's also something that I really like to be a part of it and share. Yeah.
So Hawaii Smart Energy, I presume this is an idea of yours. Can you tell us about how this came about?
Yeah. So being in Germany, you get a lot of ideas, because in the 80s there were so many ideas that was basically moving to the eco-friendly industries and way of life.
In the 80s, in Germany?
In the 80s, yes. That started, the eco-friendly idea started in the 80s in Germany, yeah. So that you would want to maybe not establish the nuclear plants in order to having the electricity and energy usage, yeah. So the movement was very strong back then, yeah, and it actually never stopped. So, but it was not organized, and it was not on the government level, yeah. But step for step, with a lot of efforts, with a lot of presence, yeah, it was brought up to the governments that you really need to do something, yeah, in order to save our resources, natural resources, yeah, and bring awareness of what we are doing with our energy. Where is that coming from? Where is that going? What can we do about it? Yeah, how can we protect our planet? Yeah. So these are the ideas that started back then, and with my civil engineering background, you definitely got into ideas of green building envelopes, how you can change, how you can remodel in order that your home is more energy efficient. So this is the basic idea of founding this company for me is to bring out whatever we can do in a construction and also in an energy usage as a energy efficiency point. There is a lot of things everybody can do. And you don't need to build a house to save energy. You can do it when the house is already there. So there are ideas. Everybody, you can save energy. I can do that. Everybody should do the part. In order to be more energy efficient, because we are hearing about the climate change. We are hearing about a lot of other issues that might not impact us right now on a big picture, but definitely for the generations to come. I think we all should get involved with that to do all. And that was the main reason that I thought it was the best time, because here we know that a lot of renewable energies are going on, a lot of discussions as well to that. So the idea of energy efficiency is actually, I can compare that to a nutrition pyramid that we all know. You start with a big portion and then energy conservation is the biggest portion of energy efficiency. And conservation means that we start to save energy. And then the next step would be that you look into, if you want to change your building envelope to have better insulation.
I see.
You can do that. If you are looking into changing your lights into LED lights, that is the next step. If you want to have Energy Star appliances, these are changes that we should do. And only the top portion is renewable energy, in the sense of if you want to have the PV panels. So that should be the last step.
Oh, really?
You want to go.
Okay.
Absolutely,
Okay.
Because, well, you wouldn't need 30 panels. You would maybe need only 2. If you start to save energy, you cut back on the energy usage, and of course, you save money as well. And then installing the PV panels, that would make the most sense.
I see. I never thought about that, but I guess it's intuitive. Little things you can do. Turn off the light, turn off
absolutely.
things that you don't need to use.
But
so how does it work for your company? And when did you start this company?
I started last year.
Oh, just last year. So it's really, really new.
It's really new, and I am getting also into doing commercial audits in order to gather information about the usage of a commercial building and where you can focus on saving energy.
So I presume while you only started the company last year, but there must have been a lot of research and studying.
I had certification also. I started in Germany with a certification for photovoltaic and solar hot water panels, so that you know how they work, how you have to connect them, and the size of systems and what direction. And so there's a lot of information you should know before you get into work with it.
But the state of Hawaii is certainly a great place to start. This is a good area to get
absolutely,
into,
yes.
because
of the sun ray,
and I guess everything we import, it adds to the cost. But I'm just curious, since you studied and you have lived in Germany, what is the difference in terms of how people look at energy conservation? Do you see that there are differences? Do you think that maybe one country is doing better than the other?
Well, definitely, In Germany, you grow up with saving energy.
Really?
Yeah, because in cold countries, you spend a lot more energy, in order to have heated everything. Your home is of course, you can compare that somehow with the HVAC system, with the AC systems that we have here, and we have to have it. But in you grow up with the idea of saving energy. That means you do it as a child, you do it at work, you do it in your home. It doesn't matter. There are a lot of car sharings, and there are a lot of ideas in order to save energy. Yeah, smaller cars. Yeah, so, but I see the changes are coming here too. Yeah, that was one of the reasons I thought it would make sense for me to found this. My own company is to really help to save energy. That is my focus, yeah, to be able to save it, because that's possible. I know it's possible. We have lived it, yeah, and people are doing it still.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So it is, and it makes the most sense of energy efficiency. You should always reduce energy before you think of producing energy. Maybe put it this way: it gives the idea of how you should approach it, yeah, and how. What's the best way to think about renewable energy?
So if there is one thing that we could do better here in the state, what do you think that would be? And comparing it with what you have experienced in Germany.
I would say it's mostly, in general, is educating and getting out the information.
Interesting.
Yeah. And once you start, because I know people are interested to do that. Yeah, we definitely know that. Everybody wants to have a lower electricity bill. Yeah, so that is something that we definitely, you can affect it yourself. You can just start saving energy for a month, and you will see the effect on your electricity bill. And these are small steps. These are steps that everybody can do, yeah. And you can, as I mentioned before, you can start at home, you can start at the work, yeah, wherever it's possible. And then once it's established, you take it with yourself wherever you go. And then you spread the word. And so, that it has to start, it has to go really, from the root, yeah. So that you can pass it on to family, you can pass it on to your children, you can, and this is where the real change will come, to realize what we should do, yeah.
Now, this is, I presume, a lot of it is very technical and policy driven. So how do you complement this with all this cultural and language work that you are involved in? I mean, how do you balance these two seemingly very diverse pool?
This is exactly why I have to balance that, yeah. To balance that and to have the connection. And you're right, it is my profession, but it's also my passion. So there are three passions that I have, and I am trying to combine.
Tell us again what those three passions are, Ghissou.
It's culture, language, yeah, and energy saving, and of course, connecting with the community where we live in.
We need people like you here, and I'm so glad that you can come to our show today. So if people want to know more about the celebration of Nowruz in 2016, tell us again where they can find the information.
Yeah, you can go to Honolulu Museum of Art website or roshaninstitute.org. This is also a place you can find the information as well, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ghissou.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
That's been a great conversation. My guest today is Ghissou Rosala. She is the Persian cultural consultant with the Honolulu Museum of Art. She's also an entrepreneur who owns a company, Hawaii Smart Energy. You have been watching ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. Join us next week. Aloha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zuri.
I didn't need my notes at all.